Hello, over the peak, Fri5Aug. Start in the United States, a calculated risk chart. Employment, percent of previous peak. You can get the idea. There was a previous peak. With a recession, it falls down from that previous peak and has to struggle back to regain the wondrous heights of the previous peak. And generally, you can see after the blue bars, those are the recessions, it starts on its weary way back up to retain its past glory. It is really struggling to get it up to its past glory after this recession. We're now 2.5 years after the blue bars finished, and it's really not made great strides back up there. This one is real personal income, less transfer payments, and a similar story, struggling to get back up there. The transfer payments make up something along the lines of 20% now of US household incomes. It's a lot of money coming from the government. Making for this chart, federal budget as a percentage of GDP. Surplus and deficit in green at the bottom, the green topography giving us the deficits. And as you can see, there was a slight hillock up over the zero line just after the computer madness of, it wasn't so mad, it was a good idea, at the end of the last century, but this century has really been all big negatives. Running even bigger negatives now. Above we have the purple line, which is the normal average amount of receipts coming in, and the spotty line, which is the amount of monies going out. And you can see the blue line, because of money not coming in, is low at only 15 when it should be up at average 17.5. And a lot more money going out than normal, 25% of GDP going out instead of the normal 20. The great difference is money is not coming in because people are unemployed, and a great amount of money is going out because people are unemployed. The stimulus, you say, that must have been a lot of deficit money going out. Well, where did that go? Let's have a look at total public construction spending, highway and street, and total public construction spending, educational. No, it's not there. Let's have a look at total public construction spending, public safety, sewage and waste disposal, and water supply. No, it's not there either. This is the run-up you can see in transportation construction spending, and it was going up nicely, but it's actually flattened off, so the stimulus money didn't go there either. It basically, I think, went to when it got out to the economy, it went to states and local governments who just spend it on general expenditure, just staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. This chart is the percentage change in price index from previous month on personal consumption expenditures. It might not mean much, but basically what we have here is it's running negative now. And if it does a couple more months of these, the Fed will feel that it probably is safe to go ahead with QE3. Written under that chart is this. Nominal personal income increased by just 0.1% in June, and the increase was due to higher government transfer payments, like unemployment benefits and capital gains income, not wages and salaries. In fact, private wage and salary income fell in June, like it's so often fallen in the previous months. None of these facts bode well for growth in the third quarter of this year, that's now, given that the economy is so dependent on consumer spending. Yes, it still is. And the austerity measures created by the recent debt ceiling deal looks unlikely to make things better. I think that doesn't make too much sense, but it does give us the picture that the federal government will not be able to do fiscal expansion. It will not come in with more stimulus. That will be left to the Fed. And as I say, that chart points towards, if it goes down for a couple more months, freeing the Fed up to do more quantitative easing. Ambrose Evans Pritchard in the Telegraph UK talking about the general atmosphere economic out there in the world, and says that the US, Britain and Europe are together embarking on a sudden and severe tightening of fiscal policy in unison before economic recovery has reached safe takeoff speed. And this experiment was last tried in the 1930s, implying it didn't work out very well at that time. And the caption on this, well, I'll give you the, can you read that on the, what he's got on his car there? $100 will buy this car, must have cash, lost all on the stock market. And I think he's scratching his head there. I don't think he's got a mobile phone. The article, underneath the picture is, we are repeating all the mistakes of the 1930s, doing our best to shot at recreating the Great Depression. Maybe. Wall Street Journal, America talking about Britain, saying that Britain's austerity canary develops a worrisome cough. That was it. Ever since it embarked on its ambitious austerity program in June 2010, the UK has been regarded as a canary in the economic coal mine. Recent data suggests that if the canary isn't exactly dead, it's certainly ailing. That's what the Wall Street Journal thinks of Britain's austerity programs and economic health. Telegraph again, fears rise over Europe's health as economy stalls. I've put the picture in for people that haven't been to Europe and seen what a pretty currency the euro is. The Eurozone economy was close to stagnant in July, with output from the at-risk nations of Italy and Spain contracting outright. And the caption says, not even the Eurozone's powerhouse economies were immune, with France's output at a 23-month low and Germany's at a 21-month low. From a different article, we get what you can hopefully recognize now as an Edward Hugh chart. And it's a very important chart because this is monthly and it's Spanish real estate market. And you can see it's a classic hill. And it's still going down. And as long as that continues to go down, that will pile and pile and pile the pressure upon Spain. And pressure upon Spain means pressure upon Italy, which means pressure upon Europe, which means horrible pressure upon the European banks. European banks are in a horrid state still. And this is how the 10-year bonds are dividing themselves up in Europe at the moment. They've left out the basket cases of Greece, Portugal and Ireland. And we have Spain and Italy at the top there, the pink and orange, grappling their hooks over the 6% interest rate for the 10-year bonds that they sell. 6%. And you can see how they've gone up from 4% very quickly. 6% is getting towards too much. The red one is Belgium, that's also trying to follow up Italy and Spain. It's certainly detached from the more solid core nations, which in this case is Netherlands, Germany, France, Finland and Austria, with Germany at the bottom only having to pay 2.5% on their 10-year. But at the top of those core countries is France, that is starting to move towards Belgium and not Germany. Going out into the greater world, just to give us an idea that the emerging nations aren't having a wonderful time either. Brazil moves to boost local goods and gives us a hint of protectionism and trade wars. Sao Paulo, Brazil's government, grappling with the effect of a soaring currency on the country's beleaguered manufacturers, on Tuesday announced temporary tax cuts for select sectors, increased lending for industry and government purchasing program that will favour Brazil's products over less expensive imports. You get the flavour of all that government intervention, which never turns out well. The measures, which were outlined by President Dilma Rousseff in a speech in Brasilia, the country's capital, come as Brazil posted a sharper than expected drop in industrial output during June. I think we'll hear more of that sort of stuff going on. And it can't work. It never does. Finish with Ambrose Evans Pritchard from the same article, number 5. Of course, rich nations may not have the luxury of spending their way out of trouble any longer. The Bank for International Settlements warned last year that fiscal woes are already near boiling point. As demographics go from bad to worse and average public debt surpasses 100% of GDP, current fiscal policy is unsustainable in every country. Drastic improvements will be necessary to prevent debt ratios from exploding, it said. The indebted West is in a frightening bind. Damned if it does, and equally damned if it doesn't. Have a good weekend. Bye.